Welcome back. A joint meeting between the National Workers Union and the National Housing Corporation looked to address some of the challenges faced by the NHC in the past years. The officials have put a 3-month timeline on coming up with viable options to revitalize the efforts of the National Housing Corporation. Talks of a public-private partnership look to be the move for the corporation, whose chairman Timothy Mangal says the cash-strapped NHC will not be treated like a matter swept under the rug.
The survival of the National Housing Corporation was the topic for discussion at the joint meeting held at the new home of the National Workers Union. Managerial staff, employees, and board of directors of the NHC were all present for that meeting. Senior Industrial Relations Specialist with the National Workers Union, Lawrence Poyot, says the financially challenged NHC will need to implement change for its continued survival.
The meeting was a joint meeting between the Board of Directors, management, employees, and the union. And the purpose of the meeting was to examine some of the challenges facing the NHC and to see how, through this general discussion, we could generate ideas in terms of trying to ensure that the NHC as an institution survives and it could meet its mandate of providing affordable housing to the people of St. Lucia. Some of you all may not be aware, but the NHC as an institution has been going through a number of challenges over the years, and we are at a point now where some changes are required in terms of ensuring, like I said, the survival of the NHC.
Options had to be placed on the table to address some of the challenges. One option, says Chairman of the NHC, Timothy Mangal, was that of entering into a public-private partnership. He says the history of the NHC working with private contractors is favorable, and for that reason, this is one of the viable options on the table.
We, as a board, have gone through the process now of the PPP, Private-Public Sector Partnership Arrangement, where we have decided to partner with private developers, because we cannot just lie down and die. And I mean, that being the situation of the NHC. You require to do any development, you require money. The NHC is cash-strapped, the NHC is owing money. So it cannot raise those finances that is required. So we went in, we decided to partner with private developers. And I must say that the shock housing project is well advanced in terms of its design and in terms of the commencement of its implementation. The Talvan Housing Development Project, there will be some announcements, and there will be some sod-turning ceremonies happening soon. But you would have noticed the trend, and even before us, before our time, you would have noticed the trend that private developers are the ones to basically drive the NHC. So there is the notion, if private developers are the ones doing the necessary works that the NHC is supposed to do, is there a need for a national housing corporation? And this is where, we now have to indicate that this corporation can be viable and to be able to come up with the recommendations as to how we can make this corporation viable.
Moreover, Poyot says the challenges facing the organization are too numerous to mention. However, he briefly touched on one major issue with the organization in not being able to meet its basic mandate, which is providing affordable housing.
Part of the NHC's mandate is to provide affordable housing, and one would notice that there have not been too many housing projects undertaken in recent times, and there are a number of other issues in terms of maybe the existing debt burden, which is something that has to be addressed. So in the final analysis, the challenges are numerous, but with the cooperation of the employees, the union, and the board, we are hoping that we could come up with creative solutions in terms of addressing some of the issues, and like I said, ensure the survival of the institution.
Poyot says a timeline for an action plan was outlined at the meeting. Over the course of the next 3 months, the NHC and NWU will work in tandem to identify viable options with the hopes of revitalizing the efforts of the National Housing Corporation. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Often referred to as the Great Seaweed Invasion, sargassum deposits have been noted to grow to unpredicted sizes on the east coast of St. Lucia. The invasive plant has been known to obscure beaches and endanger fishing communities by not only hindering fish populations but also damaging fishing equipment. but the stench is perhaps the worst inconvenience to coastal communities. Due to an unforeseen turn of events during the passage of Hurricane Dorian, noticeable sargassum deposits have begun to appear on the west coast of the island. Fisheries biologist Charlie Prosper says although current deposits may be an inconvenience, the issue is not a long-term problem.
Sargassum basically floats on the ocean, So it's more like that's a floating forest. So and it's basically being transported via the oceanic currents. So if there's a shift in the currents or the currents become more stronger, then you have it transported from the east coast to the west coast via the straits between the islands. So then you'll see influx, which is normally on the east coast, appear on the west coast.
Prosper says the movement of storms through the Caribbean Sea results in several changes in the marine environment. He also encouraged fishermen to stay updated on weather developments in order to ensure their safety. The OECS Regional Health Project aims to improve the climate resilience of health facilities in member states, including St. Lucia. The project, funded by the World Bank, will strengthen the capacity of health systems in the region to ensure continuity of services following extreme weather events. Social Planning Officer in the Ministry for Health, Jackie Joseph Mills, provided insight into the project.
On August 29, 2019, the World Bank's Board of Directors approved the OECS Regional Health Project valued at $30.6 million. This project is expected to benefit the health sector significantly by improving regional cooperation and the response for public health emergencies. In recent times, the OECS has been applauded for taking concrete steps to building sustainable resilience in the health sector. Social Planning Officer Jackie Joseph Mills says the project will greatly bolster the healthcare system in St. Lucia.
It has just been approved, so we're not into full implementation as yet. But the project really aims to, one, strengthen again our health facilities, making our facilities greener and smarter, and also strengthening surveillance, more active surveillance in terms of looking at specific conditions like dengue and other waterborne diseases.
As the island approaches full implementation of the project, health officials will host a series of consultations to develop a country profile as it relates to the impacts of climate change on the health sector.
This country profile is a project that was established with the World Health Organization and the UNFCCC to basically have a forum where all member states and countries can upload information as it relates to climate change and the impact on health.
Mills underscores that climate change is not limited to its impacts on storm developments, but also impacts health and disease. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacko Wooding.
The 42nd session of the Human Rights Council is being held in Geneva from the 9th to the 13th of September. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights to Water and Sanitation received from participating countries reports on ensuring that human rights to water are upheld in their jurisdictions. St. Lucia's Foreign Service Officer in the Ministry of External Affairs highlighted St. Lucia's challenges with availability of clean water during and in the aftermath of natural disasters. Shaka Wooding tells us more.
The United Nations recognizes that having access to safe drinking water and sanitation is central to living a life in dignity and upholding human rights. The rights to water and sanitation require that these are available, accessible, safe, and affordable for all without discrimination. The mandate of the Special Rapporteur on the human rights to safe drinking water and sanitation was established to examine these crucial issues and provide recommendations to governments and the UN. For St. Lucia, the Foreign Service Officer in the Ministry of External Affairs, Zizi Patikan, highlighted the issues of accessibility of water in light of natural disasters.
We as a small island state face various challenges, which would include being susceptible to natural disasters and the lack of limited resources to ascertain the aftermath of these disasters. St. Lucia has surface water catchment areas, which are supply areas for drinking water. They are relatively small and characterized by steep terrain over which runoff occurs fairly rapidly, resulting in limited percolation.
Pitican highlighted the growing demand for water and appealed to special repertoire to provide guidance to the St. Lucia government on disaster preparedness, particularly in the case of women and children.
Water demand continues to change rapidly in certain areas, such as, for example, in the extreme north due to high infrastructural development and migration of people into areas in the north and other major centers of commercial activity in the south. Small island states, when faced with devastation after the passing of hurricanes and other natural disasters, experience issues with the availability of clean water, especially in rural areas. To the Special Rapporteur, please advise my delegation on the measures that can be taken on behalf of women and children in particular in the event of natural disasters.
The report will address the impacts of the lack of access to safe drinking water on the homeless, elderly, women, children, and persons with disabilities. It will look into water systems in regards to regulation, accountability, and monitoring mechanisms of access to water and sanitation. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
The Prosper Foundation has long supported the needs of students, filling in gaps where accessibility to education is concerned. In the new school year, the foundation is ensuring that primary schools are well equipped to participate in upcoming sporting tournaments. One beneficiary is the Common Ready Memorial School. The institution received sports packages for its football program.
On Monday, September 9th, 2019, teachers and students of the Common Ready Memorial School were visited by the Prosper Foundation. Donations in the form of uniforms and equipment were made by the foundation to facilitate student participation in an upcoming football tournament. The Hot 7 team spoke with the school's physical education teacher, who expressed gratitude for the kind gesture.
Today we were given a very good surprise. We got some uniforms from a very good charity, which is the Caribbean North Charities, along with the Prosper Foundation. And we got some football uniforms for our youth team, which I'm very happy to receive right now.
Prosper Foundation member Juliana Prosper has also been a long-standing member of the teaching staff of the Common Ready Memorial School and says gestures towards children especially are important within society, and members of a community can spearhead any change or development they would like to see.
What they do is they provide needy children, they give support to schools, secondary schools, the IRA, Common Ready, any school, Anglican school. They support the schools whose children need the help for school books, uniform, so much so that when they give to the secondary schools, they include sanitary or hygiene products for the girls, recognizing that they are old and they would need these things. So they go all out to ensure that the children who they provide have a good life at school. So it's not only about books, it's about the total uplifting of the children. And I wish other people would get involved. It's not about the amount you can give, but just giving to one child helps a lot and it will go a long way.
The work of agencies such as the Prosper Foundation has become very integral in the back-to-school season and has proven very impactful on the lives of many students island-wide. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Thank you very much, Jacques. Tennyson Glasgow is up next with all the sporting action.